the Knightfall trailer was just dropped by DC, and I want to talk about. I do want to talk about this. So, I am a massive fan of the DC animated things. I think DC animated stuff is where DC shines the best. I grew up on it, right? I'm a young man in my 20s, so my young years were informed by DC animated projects and all the glory that they had. I'm grateful I grew up in the time where I could get excited for a DC animated project because I knew it would probably be good. I grew up on the DCAU, so that's like Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond. That was like my childhood. You know, growing up really young, like I would spend weekends just binging Justice League and Superman. Like Superman was more so than the others. It was Superman because Superman was my favorite superhero for a long time. He's still my number 2 favorite now. He's just been jot down by Nightwing. But it was Superman the Animated Series was the one I watched the most. Of course, love Batman the Animated Series. That's like the gold, one of the gold standards of television. Not just animated shows. Television is Batman the Animated Series. Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, fantastic. I remember one time my family was moving into a new house because I've lived in 3 houses with my family. So we were moving into like our new house. This is like the second house I know, which was in an apartment. And a lot needed to be done with it, right? It needed to be painted, like all the stuff. Like it really had to be fully renovated. So I remember we had like really nothing, right? We didn't even have a TV at this point, like getting our stuff over there. And I had a portable, I want to see how many of you guys know about this. I had a portable DVD player. A portable silver DVD player that we had. And we used to use that with my parents used to use it with me, and they would like give it to me, and I would watch like movies and TV shows on the road when we were on like super long trips. I watched Iron Man 2 during a long trip to the grocery store one time. I was in the grocery store with the DVD player just watching Iron Man 2 sitting in the cart. It was so fun. But we had that DVD player, and I used to use it quite a bit on like long trips and stuff. So to entertain me while my parents were looking at the house and doing things so I would not get in their way, they had the DVD player, and they brought over some of my DVDs, not all of them because a lot of them still weren't there, but we had like a bit of my DVDs. And one of the DVDs they had was a compilation of like 3 or 4 Justice League Unlimited episodes. It was like the first 4, so it was the one with Green Arrow, Captain Atom and Supergirl and Green Lantern go to stop like the giant like radioactive freaking like not monster but like the robot. Then there was the one with Hawk and Dove with Wonder Woman where they fought Ares. Then there was the one where they turned into kids, and then there was there was one more, but I am blanking on what that 4th episode was. But it was the first 4 episodes of Justice League Unlimited was on like this DVD, and I would watch that over and over and over and over again because that's kind of all the superhero thing I had. I think what I had after that was some other cartoon. I can't remember what it was. Then there was SpongeBob, a SpongeBob compilation DVD, and then like some wrestling DVDs was all I had for like the first couple days. So I used to rewatch those. I know like those, like for at least those first 3 episodes, I kind of know them by heart at this point because they're like ingrained in my head. But like the Justice League, like the DC animated shows were my bread and butter. I loved them so much. Batman Brave and the Bold, I watched it as a kid when it was on, and it was like a morning show for me to watch as a kid. I watched Beware the Batman when it came out. I watched The Batman, the 2004 one, on Teletoon, because that's where it was here in Canada. It was on Teletoon. And then when it came to the animated movies, loved them so much. I remember watching Under the Red Hood with my dad. It was on TV. It was on Cartoon Network at night. They were showing Under the Red Hood, and I had never seen it before. So I watched it with my dad, and he's like, okay, you can watch up until, like 15 minutes in, and then you got to go to bed, because it was late. And then he sat down, he was watching it with me, and he got sucked in. He's like, okay, you can wait till after the commercial. And then we watched that next bit. Okay, you can wait till after the commercial. And it just kept going and going. And we got like halfway through the movie, and he's like, all right, no, you gotta go to bed. You gotta go to bed. No. But then I woke up the next day, and we rewatched the whole movie. And Under the Red Hood is... That might be my favorite Batman movie, to be honest with you. Under the Red Hood. It's so fucking good. Hey, but it did its job, because I was so invested and I wanted to know more about Jason Todd. I went and read the comic books. So, did its job. But now we have Knightfall. Knightfall is one of the most iconic Batman stories ever. Hello. Knightfall is one of the most iconic Batman stories of all time because it features the infamous Bane breaking Batman's back moment. And now we finally get to see it. I have always said, even before this movie was announced, I had like talked to people I knew and I'm like, why don't they make a Knightfall movie? Like, that's crazy that it hasn't been done before. It's one of the most iconic Batman stories and it still hasn't been done. And then it did get announced. It got announced in 2025 that DC was going to be making a Knightfall series. And I believe at first it was announced as 4 movies, and they have now cut it down to 3. Because at first I thought, oh, it's 4 movies. So movie 1 will be, Vengeance of Bane, Sword of Azrael, a bit of the prelude to Knightfall. Then for movie 2 will be Prelude of Knightfall, right? Batman gets broken. Now, not Batman gets broken, but then, then Jean dons the costume, all that. Then movie 3 will be Knight's Quest, movie 4, Knight's End, where Batman comes back to take the mantle. They've shortened it to 3 now, so now I'm like, okay, some stuff's probably gonna get cut here. I'm assuming maybe most of Vengeance of Bane's probably gone. We're probably gonna get some sort of Azrael from the what we see from the trailer. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the trailer because I'm very invested in this. So from the trailer, just to start off, I like the trailer. I think the trailer is very good. I like what I'm seeing. I like how, first off, the characters look like the characters. No unnecessary changes were made. They all look like how they should in the comic book. I think the art style it's a hit or miss for me. I understand that they are trying to emulate the style of the comic book, and I do appreciate that, right? Like, especially when you look at how Batman looks. Like, that's purely how he looked at that time, and I very much appreciate that. I appreciate that they took that detail to heart, and I think more movies should do that. I think you should try and emulate the style of the comic at the time. Because it adds a little something extra to it, And I'm not knocking on the movies that didn't do that, but I think it adds a little bit extra that you are emulating that style, right? It adds a bit more. I liked so first off, I like the design of Batman. I think he looks very good. I like also how his suit is cloth. They show that because he's got his bat symbol kind of ripped in one shot. And, because his suit was cloth. And, a lot of people now are used to Batman's suit being armored and all that. But no, his suit usually should be cloth at times, I'm not against an armored bat suit. But that's something that should be later on in his career. And at this point in time, he was still wearing cloth. So I'm happy that they showed that. Bane himself looks awesome. I'm super happy with how Bane looks. His voice, too, is very well done. So I know for a fact that Graham Nolan, one of the co-creators of Bane, did like how Bane looked in this. And Graham Nolan, I know, only likes 2 versions of Bane that I know of, which is the animated series and Young Justice Banes are the only 2 that he really likes, that he thinks are like, yeah, that's Bane. So the fact he liked this one is a good sign. I don't know how Chuck Dixon feels about it. I think Chuck's whole thing is just, I get paid, which, you know what, fair enough. I appreciate that answer, by the way. So I think Bane looks good. He looks like how Bane should be. Because a lot of times now, they've tried to make Bane like this dumb bruiser, right? Like, you see it in like something like Batman and Robin. He's a freaking dumb, like, lumbering fool. You see in even like the Lego Batman game, like Lego Batman 1, he's totally the butt of a joke. He's a dumb moron, right? Or it's Tom Hardy Bane impression. From The Dark Knight Rises, you see it a lot where they try to do the Tom Hardy Bane, which I no, please no. But like now I'm getting like an actual Bane here, and that's really good. Even something like Arkham kind of screwed up Bane because in Asylum and City, he's not the the evil smart mastermind that we know he can be. They show that a bit in Arkham Origins that he started that way, but then because of what happens, he just becomes damaged. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of leeway, but that's still, Arkham Origins was after Asylum and City, right? Which weren't the best portrayals of Bane. But then we have, what we have here, and I'm like, okay, this just looks like comic Bane, especially because he looks like a full luchador and everything. He looks really good. His voice is Michael Mandow, who is Scorpion in the MCU. So he did a good job from what I could hear. A lot of people are like, oh, Bane's finally going to be like Hispanic Bane and all that, right? And I'm like, yeah, good. He didn't sound like that. I wasn't concerned with that. I'm just like, he has this cool voice. I'm like, he sounds really fucking cool, which is what I care about, because I'm one of the people who's like, I don't give a fuck who's voicing the character as long as they can do a good job. I'm not one of these idiots who's like, you have to look like the character to voice them. That's stupid. That defeats the whole point of voice acting, right? Like, look at me, you know, little schmo who is skinny as a rail. Because of the power of voice acting, if I tried enough, I could play a super buff macho hero of an anime, because that's the power of voice acting. So I think Bane looks good. I think the art for this is pretty good. Maybe the way the animation moves is not my favorite, but, you know, I can probably get used to it. You know, I will say that some of the designs I'm not a huge fan of. I think the big one was Mr. Freeze, which I know, okay, I know it's the Kelly Jones Mr. Freeze. I know that. And I appreciate that they even took the effort to just make him the Kelly Jones Mr. Freeze. But I do like the Kelly Jones Mr. Freeze. I think it's a really cool design. I just don't think it looks well in this shot. You know, it just didn't really, because at first I saw him and I'm like, is that Mr. Freeze? What? And then someone showed me, they're like, it's the Kelly Jones Mr. Freeze. I'm like, oh, yeah, it still doesn't look good. I think that version of Mr. Freeze looks good when it's drawn by Kelly Jones, you know? But it could just be the shot that they showed just isn't the best one, so I am willing to give leeway on that one as well. We get to see, you know, Nightwing, who looks like the 90s, not 90s, sorry, but looks like the Knightfall, you know, version of Nightwing from that time. I think he even has the ponytail. If he does have the ponytail, then props. I'll give you a clap on that one, because like no one mentions the Nightwing ponytail anymore, and I'll give you a clap on that one. And then we get to see at the end of the trailer Jean-Paul Valley, I believe it's Jean-Paul Valley in the Knightfall suit. Awesome shot. This is great. I can't wait to see this. I'm imagining it was probably a pain in the ass to draw that for the animators. I know Graham Nolan said he hates the Knightfall suit because he had to draw it, you know? And like, it's different for me because I'm just watching it, right? Like, I'm reading it, I'm watching it. I don't gotta worry about it. I didn't have to go through the pain of drawing that. I imagine it sucked for the animators on this to have to do this every fucking shot. You know, it must have sucked. So, you know what? Props to you guys for doing it. But he looks awesome. The suit's gonna have to change too, because the suit gets bigger and bulkier and it turns red. So there's that. But overall, from the trailer, because this is a trailer not just for part 1, this is a trailer for the whole thing, so you see shots from like different points of the series, right? I really hope this does well, and I'm interested. I'm very interested in it. It's a 3-parter, which I think is the best thing for you to do. I would have preferred the 4 parts that you initially announced, but 3 parts, okay, I'm still willing to give you a shot. Still willing to give you a chance. DC's done good with the multi-parter animated movies before. They did it with the Dark Knight Returns and The Long Halloween, and I like both those movies. I think both those movies are great, so I'm willing to give them a shot with this one, you know? Especially after how good this looks and how accurate it looks after what we've had with DC movies and DC animated projects, you know, going forward, you know, like recently has been just, you know, it's night and day, right? Because I get something like this Knightfall trailer. I'm like, that looks great, and it's side by side with the Caped Crusader trailer, which looks like utter dog shit. And then there's My Adventures with Superman, which at time of recording is still coming out, and that is dog shit. I hate that show. So it's like I have 2 garbage things in between, like this really good thing. You know, and DC animated stuff has been very bad as of late, right? Like, because just take a look at the recent animated universe they had. We had Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is funny that there's now a movie with that name coming out, which was eh. The Long Halloween 2-parter was awesome. I like that movie. Then there was Justice Society World War II, which was eh. And then they had The Twist, and then I'm kind of like, okay, I give you more leeway. If you've seen the movie, you know what the twist is. Then there was Legion of Superheroes, which was another movie. Then there was Justice League War World, which was garbage. That movie was awful. I don't even own that one. And I own most of the DC animated movies physically. I don't own that one. I wasn't even like, here's the thing, I bought Legion of Superheroes before I watched it, right? Because I was still committed. After that one, I'm kind of like, I will wait to see what you do. So I rented it on VOD, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to buy this one. So I didn't buy it. And then the Crisis trilogy they did, Crisis on Infinite Earths, I don't own that either. I watched it on a streaming service because it was a mess. But like the DC animated stuff has been very, like, that's their movie. And then the shows, they had 5 seasons of Harley Quinn. What are we doing? And then they have My Adventures with Superman, which is garbage. They're gonna do My Adventures with Green Lantern, which stars Jessica Cruz. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. You know? And we were going to get a Kingdom Come movie. I don't know if you know this. We were gonna get an animated Kingdom Come movie, but it was canceled in late 2023. Who by, you may ask? James Gunn. As if I couldn't already hate this man more than I already do. I hate his DC universe. I think Superman sucks. I think his Peacemaker Season 2 is a fucking abomination and really proved the kind of man he is. This guy can't do shit. Supergirl is bombing at time of recording. So, I hate his DC universe, right? I really do. I hate him even more now. Because you got rid of my Kingdom Come movie. I could have finally had it. An animated Kingdom Come movie would have been fucking amazing. And this dyed-haired cuck bastard canceled it. Fuck him. But now we are here with Knightfall. If this is if this is what kickstarts DC animated stuff getting good going forward, I'm all here for it. You know, I really am all here for it. They just announced, at the time of recording, also more animated stuff. There is a crypto show coming out, which I don't care about, but it's mainly for kids, so whatever. Then there is a Joker, quote-unquote, anime. If it's not from Japan, it's not a fucking anime. If it's made in the West and commissioned by the West, it's not a fucking anime. Anime is for Japanese animation. And it's another one of these stupid fucking Batman's been killed things. I'm sick and fucking tired of the Batman dies shit, so I don't give a fuck. And then they announced an Absolute Batman cartoon, which, okay, I'm not a huge Absolute Batman fan, but I'll probably check it out when it comes out, because I know a lot of people are probably excited for that. And Batman's, you know, the only thing that DC can fucking, you know, milk to death. But, you know, like, their animated stuff going forward, even after this announcement, I'm kind of like iffy on, you know, but if this is like, you know, but that's just what they announced, right? Because they're obviously working on probably on projects that they haven't announced yet. So if this Knightfall is the start of that, of us, like, at least the animated movies start to get back to being good, okay, I'm here for it, you know? But this has all just been a long intro, a long almost 20-minute intro to me talking about what I want to do now, which is what the rest of this video is going to be about, which is getting to Knightfall movie. I want to go over the entire Knightfall series with you guys. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go video by video, going over Knightfall, issue by issue, in order, as it is in the graphic novels. And we're going to go over it. We're going to go over Knightfall. So that way, if you haven't read Knightfall before, you can watch these videos, and you'll know what to look for when the movies come out. So all together, we collectively can say, okay, what's a good adaptation? Well, we know what to look for. So I'm very excited. This is also mainly just an excuse for me to reread Knightfall because I want to. So this is also an excuse because I'm like, oh, I have to do it for a video, you know? So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that. We're going to start this off in order. So since we're doing it in order, we're going to start with Sword of Azrael, the mini-series which introduces Jean-Paul Valley into DC Comics, and that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with this, and then we're going to go into Vengeance of Bane, and then the prelude to Knightfall, and then, you know, we'll go from there. But before we start, I do want to just, you know, let you guys know that I can't really show you too many images of this whole thing, and that is mainly because, you know, DC will kill me. They will Shazam, Thunderbolt my house if I show images of the panels in this video. This is not like when I do Sonic videos and I can show you the images. The IDW doesn't care. because, you know, they're gonna go bankrupt soon anyway, DC will kill me. DC will literally kill me, so I can't do that. I might be able to get away with showing you guys a couple of panel, like a single image of a panel. I might be able to get away with if I stretch it out a bit. If it's something cool, I'll risk it, right? But if I can't just show you guys panel after panel after panel, you know, because DC will get me. So sorry. You guys are mainly just gonna get gameplay and me talking, but this is good. It's kind of like a podcast thing in a way where you can kind of do other things while I talk about, you know, Sword of Azrael. You know, it's kind of cool. But yeah, just to let you know, that's why there's not going to be that many images, because I don't want to die and I want to keep this going. So that's how we're going to start this. We're going to start with Sword of Azrael. That's how we kick it off, and then we go from there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we start off with actually seeing Azrael. It looks like he's going after someone. All right, so Azrael's going after this guy in a suit. Look at him. Look at the dude in his suit. And during the fight, Azrael gets shot up. Like, he gets shot up a bunch of times, and you're like, oh damn, that's brutal. Azrael manages to escape jumping out the door. Not the door, sorry, he jumped out of a window. He gets shot a couple more times as he is shot out the window by this guy's bodyguards. It seems that during his escape, he managed to like nick the guy on like his right eye with his sword. Azrael then starts moving through Gotham City, wounded. He escapes on a horse. There's like some parade going on, and he jumps on a horse and escapes. And Azrael literally crawls his way into some apartment, and you see a guy open a door. At first, given the way it's drawn, I thought it was a woman, but no, it's meant to just be like a really skinny guy. This person that Azrael goes to see is Jean Paul Valley. This whole time, Azrael has not been Jean, it's been his dad. So Azrael is taken inside by Jean, and he dies on Jean's bed. And he tells Jean to open the package that he was left with. It will contain what he needs, and his dad dies. So from there, we go to Batman. Bruce Wayne is walking down into the Batcave, and he and Alfred are talking about what they just saw, right? About Azrael. He went to that parade, stole the horse, all this type of stuff. They're talking about, like, you know, this angel that dropped from the sky and all that, right? And then Bruce starts going over some stuff that's been happening, which is a cop found like part of his outfit in the alley, which is full of bullet holes. It's a bulletproof vest, but it's just riddled with bullet holes, full of blood. Number 2 that Bruce talks about is a man by the name of Carlton Laha. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the guy who Azrael was attacking. So Bruce is like, that guy owns a penthouse right above where the parade was. And Bruce says that guy, he does like trafficking in arms and exotic ammunition. And when Alfred's like, exotic ammunition, Bruce is like, computer-controlled rockets, laser-guided missiles, Teflon-coated bullets. It's a lot. So Bruce gets dressed into the bat suit. I have to say, you know, this is just me. It's a fucking cloth bat suit, and I'm like, yeah, no armor here, dude. It is a cloth bat suit. So we then move to Jean. He opens the package. Inside was money, $4,000 in various currencies, and a letter directing him to fly to a small airfield in Switzerland, where there was a man who did not answer any of Jean's questions. He told Jean to get in his vehicle, and for 6 hours they rode into the mountains, and then Jean was left at a small village. And he kind of knocks on like the door of like this house they put him in, and there is this guy who he literally is like a tiny mini, maybe demonic Yoda creature. This guy, his name is Namaz. I'll put a picture of him on screen. He's gonna be the guy who teaches Jean all this type of stuff, and you know, he tells Jean, "I'm your new teacher," and Jean's like, "My teacher of what? What are we doing here?" And the guy's like, I'm gonna teach you how to I'm gonna teach you how to be the new Azrael, and you're gonna be part of what we call the system. And she's like, what system? Like computer science? You know, I majored that back in Gotham. So then they have like, what's his name? No Maz has this bodyguard just start beating up Jean, and Jean's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm trying to get you, he's trying to get Jean angry. That's what he's trying to do, to activate, the conditioning that is inside Jean that his father has been putting in him at a young age. Because that's how the Order of Saint Dumas works, right? They install like this kind of like, I wouldn't say a hypnotic suggestion in them, but it's kind of like conditioning, right? So he tries to get Jean mad, hoping Jean will fight back. So he starts telling him that, and he starts telling Jean bad stuff about this bodyguard who's called Heinrich. I almost went Heidenreich. And, he tells Jean that, this guy has killed 14 men, 2 women, and an 11-year-old child. He starts telling Jean, your dad is a liar, he's a failure, all this stuff, and Jean doesn't fight back at all because the conditioning hasn't been activated. So Batman enters to Laha's apartment. No one is there, kind of seems abandoned. Batman does find a flattened bullet on the balcony of the apartment. So Batman then realizes, okay, so when the angel left, he fell off, went into the middle of the parade, started to panic, but we still don't know who he is and why Laha did not report this angel. So Batman, after doing some, investigating with his microscope, finds out that there is Teflon onto the bullet. And, Batman says that to continue his investigation, he's got a laser microphone aimed out the window of a Wayne Enterprises office at the window of Laha's apartment, so it'll pick up vibrations of the glass, and he'll translate them into sounds, including speech. A voice-activated recorder will then tape everything the mic sets up. This is way too fucking convoluted. Why did you not just leave a little fucking tracking dot or a tiny mic? You didn't have to do this. You could have just bugged the place. You didn't have to go through this convoluted fucking way. Okay, whatever. So anyway, back to the Order. Nomaz gives Jean like this coin which has the sigil of the Order of Saint Dumas, right? And he puts it in Jean's eye, like one of his glasses. He puts it in. And he's like, if your father did his job properly, he would have, implanted the suggestions in you from childhood. You may remember them as dreams, but we must make you awake to them, right? And then when Jean's like, what am I going to be awake to? And he's like, you will become the bringer of death. So then we have Batman meeting up with Gordon, where Gordon's pretty much telling him, a bit more about Azrael, right? The angel, witnesses say he was holding some sword, but when he came out, he was empty-handed, so the sword is missing. So Batman starts looking for the sword. He ends up going into the sewers and he finds the sword, and on the sword's handle is that same sigil of Saint Dumas, right? So at that same time, Jean is getting put through like his awakening, right? So it wakens up the dormant part of Azrael in him, and it's a very psychedelic looking page of how they do it. So then when Nomaz tells Jean, hit Heinrich, Jean actually kicks the legs out from under him real quick, and he's like, how did I do that? I don't know how I did that. And then, the guy's like, well, that's the conditioning, So then we have Oracle shows up. Oracle makes a little cameo. It's real nice to see her. She's doing well after getting confined to a wheelchair forever. And I like her responses. You really don't give me the easy ones, do you? So she finds that the symbol on the sword is the Order of Saint Dumas, and she gives us a history on it. She said, the order began as part of the Knights Templar. There was some kind of internal disagreement, and a bunch of knights went off and formed their own group named for their leader Dumas, whom nobody else has ever accused of being a saint. Anyway, they fought in the Crusades, had another falling out with their leaders, then got stinking rich off of pillaging, and the loot vanished. There's a theory they split up to Switzerland, stashed their gains in banks, and have lived happily ever after since, right? So then we move back to Nomaz and Jean, where Nomaz gives us exposition that it was not just Jean's dad was Azrael, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, like 20 generations of Jean's, grandfathers, fathers have been, his forefathers, I guess you could say, were Azrael, right? And then he kind of just tells Jean, like, it's exposition to explain why Jean is Azrael, right? Well, not Jean. It depends. I've been saying Jean Paul Valley. It could be Jean Paul. I believe it is Jean Paul, because that's how they pronounce it in the Knightfall movie coming out. Which, you know, that's what this whole thing's for. So I'll start calling him Jean Paul for now. I was saying Jean Paul. Is Jean Paul? It is Jean Paul. That is my mistake, right? So Bruce and Alfred get on a plane, and as they are on their way to hopefully find the Order of Saint Dumas, the plane is targeted and it is attacked. Oh no, we are attacking their plane. So the plane starts going out of control. Bruce and Alfred they're alive. You know, of course they're alive, but they kind of got knocked out for a bit. And Bruce says, looks like that there was somebody aimed a rocket launcher at us. I'm gonna bet it's Lahan. You know, I'm gonna bet it was Lahan. So, moving back to Jean Paul and Nomaz, there is an avalanche. They hear an avalanche coming, and then we move back to Bruce and Alfred, who, you know, have to experience the avalanche. They manage to escape. Bruce makes some makeshift snowshoes using wet branches and a bit of copper wiring. I'm assuming he took from the plane, and he and Alfred start hiking. So, then we go to Laha, who has, like, gone completely insane. He's gone fucking insane. He now believes he is the servant of Bis, who is like an evil demon that is against the Order of Saint Dumas. And he kills, like, his little guy who's with them. I think he cuts his head off. I can't be too sure. It is kind of... There's an image here. I'll flash it on screen. I think he cuts the guy's head off. Could be wrong. But there we go. So Bruce turns into Batman, dresses into Batman. And there's another earthquake coming. It looks like... They think it's a volcano, right? Like, oh my god, is this a volcano? But no. It is a hovercraft bursting out from underneath all the snow. And it is filled with Nomaz and Azrael. Jean-Paul puts the suit on. He and Batman have their first fight. Oh my god. And Batman is trying to de-escalate the situation, but, you know, Jean-Paul's not listening. Nomaz is telling him to use the sword, you know? And Bruce is like, look, I have been pulling my punches on you, buddy. But I will fucking, like, kill your ass if you fucking get near me. And Jean-Paul pulls out the sword. It fucking lights up, man. It's got the fire sword. And Bruce is like, okay. And Bruce kicks his fucking ass. Like, he beats his ass. The hovercraft, because Azrael's getting beat up, the hovercraft knocks into Batman. Jean-Paul escapes. And they leave the sword behind. So Bruce goes after the hovercraft because the hovercraft went away. So Bruce goes into the hole the hovercraft came from. He wants to see what's going on down there. And Nomaz's like, this is good because he rigged the entire chamber with explosives. Oh, joy. Laha is going crazy right now. He's put face paint on, and now he calls himself the Demon Lord Bis. There he is. And we get a nice shot of him and then Azrael in a different shot, so like in like the same panel, right? So then we get some exposition on Laha, as now Azrael and Nomaz have gone away to another home in the village, and Laha used to be a member of the Order of Saint Dumas, but he looted their Swiss accounts and used the money to build an arms business for himself. When Nomaz learnt of this, he sent Azrael, which was Jean's father. Meanwhile, Bruce and Alfred are inside that chamber where, you know, the hovercraft was, and Alfred found some food and he was able to make a spinach fajita. Look at that! Look at that! And then Bruce makes a chocolate joke because they're in Switzerland. Sure, dude. All right. So Bruce was able, while Alfred was doing all that, Bruce made this radio. And it's tuned to a relay satellite. If they can learn who receives what's sent from here, they'll know who belongs to the Order of Saint Dumas. Then Bruce says that, you know, he found a bomb radio controlled with the detonator switch tripped. Someone tried to blow them up, probably the pair in the aircraft, but it did not work. And then I was like, why did it not work? Bruce went, there was a dangling wire. There was just a loose wire. That's why they're not dead. So the reason they aren't dead is because a wire was loose. Cool. Awesome. That's great. Sure, man. So we moved to a hospital where what we're doing now is Namaz and Jean are going to find other members of the Order. And what's happening is Bis, who is Laha, is going around and killing them. I guess why? Because, you know, Bis is the enemy of Azrael. Azrael's for the Order of Saint Dumas. So Bis, while being, you know, well, Laha by being Bis figures, okay, I can just kill the rest of the Order. So Bis unloads a fucking just a plethora of guns on Jean-Paul, and Jean gets blasted off out of the hospital room, and you're like, oh god, is Jean-Paul dead? Well, he's not. He managed to survive because he was holding on to he was holding the bag carrying Azrael's suit, and apparently all that cushioned the bullets for him. Don't question it. It's fucking comic book logic. You know, I just don't question it. As luck would have it, as Jean-Paul gets blasted out of the hospital room, he lands right in front of Bruce and Alfred's car. Isn't that convenient enough? Bruce jumps up onto, like, ambulances to, like, get up to, you know, where Jean-Paul was just, you know, boosted out of. And he sees Bis is about to kill Nomaz, but then Bruce goes after him, chases him. They have a fight in the storage room, where Bis throws down some chemicals that cause Bruce to start hallucinating. Bruce, during the fight, gets, like, his shirt ripped, so now you can see, like, you know, like, the Batman logo underneath his shirt, right? So because he's all, like, drugged the fuck up, right, Bis beats him, takes him outside. He's gonna use an ambulance to drive Batman away, but Bruce manages to kick the door open and he escapes. All good for him. Alfred goes to help him because he sees Bruce is in trouble. Bis comes out, throws Alfred away, puts Bruce back in the back of the ambulance and leaves. He injects Bruce with a drug to ensure his cooperation, as they say, right? Basically, he's just drugging him up so that way he's not going to be, you know, a problem anymore as he takes him away. Then Alfred meets Nomaz, who puts a knife to his throat. Alfred is like, you know, we have other things to deal with, you know, like the poor young man who is laying on the ground before us. So they take Alfred with them to, you know, where they're staying. And Alfred, you know, because he's got some, you know, experience patching people up, looks over Jean and says, you know, you have some bruises, right? But none have penetrated your skin, right? And that's where Jean-Paul's like, you know, it's the costume. It's because it was all folded up. I managed to survive, right? Bis, who is interrogating Bruce, he figured out, you know, you're Bruce Wayne, a billionaire in Gotham, and you are also Batman, right? He said that you are going to, he's like, you know, I'm going to take your money, right? When we are done, I'm going to take all your money and I will take all your fortune, and then I will use that for my Lord Bis, you know, all that type of stuff, right? And Bruce is like, well, you're gonna be fucking disappointed, buddy, because I ain't giving that up easy, right? So as Jean-Paul is, you know, getting dressed because he's like, you know, we got stuff to do, Nomaz is like, well, let's just get rid of Alfred. We don't need him. And Jean-Paul's like, whoa, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, Azrael goes after, you know, the evil in the world, right? He's not evil. He helped us. He's been, you know, he's been our friend here. And Nomaz is like, oh, do you not recognize him? He was there in the mountains with that demon, right? Jean-Paul's like, I'm not gonna hurt innocent people, right? If obeying you and the Order means hurting innocent people, I'm not gonna fucking do that. And obviously Alfred's like, oh, thank you for this, right? They all, like, decide, you know, we'll work together to find Laha, because Alfred wants to find Bruce, and Jean-Paul needs to kill Laha for the Order, right? So, Laha goes to someone. They don't really specify who this guy is. He's a rich dude, right? He's a rich guy. He apparently knows Laha, and then Laha just kills him. Cool, man. Yeah, sure. So Laha is very upset that Bruce has not, managed to break. He even injected Bruce with the truth serum, and Bruce just has not broken. And then, he's like, how is this possible? And Bruce is like, well, many people my age were, running around, chasing girls, listening to music. I was learning how to control my mind from funny-looking old men. That's fucking, hey, that is true, right? So then we learn from Nomaz that the guy that Laha killed is actually a former member of the Order. They were trying to contact him, but, well, that isn't gonna fucking work out, right? So then Jean-Paul's like, all right, well, we just gotta think things through here, right? Let's think about what we do next. And then Nomaz says, Azrael does not think, Azrael punishes. And then Alfred has a good line where he says, maybe this Azrael can do both. And then he sends it to Jean, saying, what were you saying? And Jean-Paul's like, well, Laha killed his first victim in Geneva, his second in Kalias, and he seems to be moving west across Europe. And then he asks Nomaz, where does the next member of, the Order of St. Dumas live, right? He's like, does anyone live in England, right? And then Nomaz is like, well, there is a Harcourt who lives outside of London. And Jean's like, we could go there, right? And then, we see Laha enter the, big mansion of this guy, Harcourt. He enters pretty easily because, he's not dressed like a fucking weirdo. He's dressed normally. So he sees this Harcourt guy who's in, his greenhouse. He's like, oh, what's going on? Laha, my fellow brother from Order of St. Dumas, what's going on, dude? And Laha's like, have you taken the precautions before we spoke? And he's like, oh, yeah, dude. I got, all those fucking guys from the village to come. They keep everyone out but you, right? I haven't taken any calls, how it is. So what did you need? And he's like, oh, well, that's good because, let's get to the reason I got here. And Laha puts on the Batman outfit. And he kills the guy. He kills Harcourt. So then they're not getting inside of the mansion because, the guy at the gate's like, dude, we're not letting you in. So Azrael just bursts out the car and just goes, we're fucking entering, dude. So then, all of Harcourt's guards show up and Azrael takes them down. He does kill them. He kills the dog. He kills the guards. He doesn't fucking, he is not holding back. He is fucking brutalizing everything, right? And Alfred's kind of watching this, in horror. And he doesn't understand. Because there's no way that, the shy, gentle guy that he was with before could be like this. Which is to show you kind of, what it means when Jean-Paul puts the mask on. Because when he puts that mask on, he is Azrael, right? The Azrael personality takes over. So Azrael bursts into the greenhouse, right? And he chases after Harcourt, who's Batman, but eventually Harcourt escapes in his car. Oh, that fucking sucks. So here is where we kind of find out more about it, where Alfred's like, what was going on with you when you put the costume on? And Jean-Paul's like, I don't really remember much when I put it on. I just get bits and pieces, right? It's almost though I have someone else's memories, right? So it is, they're doing the whole, when he puts the costume on, Azrael is there, not Jean-Paul. Jean-Paul's taking a break. Jean-Paul's on sabbatical, honey, And, Nomaz is like, well, that's what should happen. Because what is done to him ensures that that he serves the Order of St. Dumas. And Nomaz, he reprimands Jean-Paul because Jean-Paul paused when he was chasing Laha because he paused to see Harcourt dead. And he's like, oh, shit. And then, Nomaz is like, you shouldn't have done that. You should have gone after him, right? And Alfred's like, well, he was just doing the decent, humane thing to do. Right? And then Nomaz is like, Azrael's not decent. Azrael is not human. Azrael is the instrument of righteous cruelty. And then Jean-Paul's just like, let's just put that to his side and forget Azrael. Can we find Mr. Wayne? Using their whole idea of, Laha is going through Europe. So, the next one would be who lives west of here, right? And Laha's like, Nomaz is like, there's 3 in South America, 3 in Hawaii. Then, Jean's like, are we just going to have to turn south or skip the entire continent? And then Alfred's like, isn't there a person in Texas? And Nomaz goes, no, there isn't. And Alfred's like, well, no, I remember there's a Texas location on the list of those who receive satellite transmissions. And then they're like, wait a minute, what if that person in Texas is Laha himself receiving those fucking transmissions. And it's like, oh wait, that makes perfect fucking sense, actually. We get to see Bruce and Laha, and this is where we find out where his base is, which is underneath a petroleum refinery that Laha owns. It's not operating at the moment, you know, so that's how they can get away here, right? Get like a nice little dialogue where, you know, Bruce starts talking to Laha about Abyss, you know, his lord and master and all that, right? And he's like, you know, that outfit you're wearing kind of dishonors your fucking master. And, you know, Laha's like, how so? You know, I achieved, you know, what my master wanted by wearing these garbs. And Bruce goes, well, yeah, but you're courting the demon I serve instead of Abyss. And Laha's like, your demon? And then Bruce goes, some would say I've been riding one since I was 8 years old. Oh, what a fucking line, dude. It's such a really good fucking line. So then Biss starts torturing Bruce. He like stabs him in the shoulder. And Bruce is like, if you think after drugging me that didn't work, you think torture is gonna fucking stop me? Nice try, buddy, right? Laha takes off the Batman mask, starts taking off the costume. This guy is fat as fuck, by the way. He's a fucking hog. Jean-Paul scoping out the refinery. Before he, you know, decides to go in, Alfred's like, oh, what is your name? Because this whole time we have not been told what Jean-Paul's name is. Obviously, we know now. And Jean-Paul says, I don't know. I forgot. I forgot who I am. So then he bursts through into the oil refinery with Alfred and Nomaz, right? So then we see Biss and, well, it's Laha again. So Laha starts charging at Bruce with a knife. Oh my god, I'm gonna kill you. Bruce fights back, even though he's kind of like tied to like a column. And while there's like a storm going on outside, some of the lightning hits like the fucking like electrical tower nearby, and it causes an outage, which allows them to enter the fucking oil refinery, which that's a bit too convenient for my taste, to be honest. I'm like, okay, guys, you could have done something. Like maybe you could have had it where Bruce, while he's inside, does something. I would have allowed that, but like just a bolt of fucking lightning from the sky hits the exact electrical like fucking tower to turn off all the security and electricity in the building. Come on now, right? So, Laha, you know, even the lights are out, he's still going after Bruce. I'm still gonna get you. And Bruce just kicks his fucking knife away. He goes, dude, when are you gonna give up? So then Laha takes out a gun. And he's like, fine, fuck you. I'll just shoot you. But then Azrael shows up, right? And Laha starts raining down bullets. Get the fuck away from me, type of thing, right? Because he's been doing that, he accidentally causes a fire to break out. And they're like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, right? And, you know, Alfred's like, we gotta save Master Bruce. He's caught in the fire. And then, you know, Nomad says, Azrael does not rescue. Azrael avenges. Our work is done. He goes to leave. And then Alfred's like, please, you can't just leave him there. And then that's when Azrael goes, no. And he walks to Bruce. He frees Bruce from his chains. Bruce picks up the costume, and he's, you know, the smoke is getting to him. He can't get up. He's like, you just go. And Jean-Paul wraps him in the fucking Batman coat. The Batman cape. Picks him up in his hands, and they all rush out the fucking building while Laha burns to death in the explosion and dies. Right? And, you know, Nomaz is pissed. He's like, how could you? You know, you disgraced your mission to, you know, as the Angel of Vengeance. And then Jean-Paul says, I'm not an angel. I'm just a man. My name is Jean-Paul Valley, and that was my father's name, too. And that's where this ends. That is the Sword of Azrael. This was our introduction to Azrael, to the Order of St. Dumas. And in a way, is a prelude to Knightfall, because of how big Azrael is going to be in Knightfall. It is 4 issue series. It was written by Denny O'Neil. And, I mean, like, okay, when I say this is written by Denny O'Neil, you're kind of like, oh, okay, so we're gonna be in fucking good hands here. The pencil was Joe Quesada. That fucking piece of shit did the pencils for this, man, huh? Jesus Christ, I guess everyone can have a good day. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I liked getting info He does a good job of being the origin of Azrael and introducing the Order to you. And you learn more about the Order later on in Knightfall. But like, as just the basic, we need to get introduction of the Order of Saint Damas, of the Angel of Death, Azrael. We need to get that out there. This is a good way to start it. You know, you have, especially when you use someone like Jean-Paul, someone who, like us, has zero clue what the fuck is going on, and he is kind of like our avatar in the way. Even though he is, you know, Azrael, and he's getting thrust upon him, and he has all this conditioning in his head, he is kind of our avatar to get the exposition dump of who the Order of Saint Dumas is. And, you know, at the end, you have him, you know, saying, you know, I'm done with that. Fuck you. I'm not Azrael. I am Jean-Paul Valley, right? Kind of throwing away the mantle of Azrael, but not really, because he's still gonna be it. But you know what I mean? Like I'm getting rid of what you think I should be as Azrael, type of thing. I did enjoy that. I enjoyed that about it. Nice 4 issues. It's a decent just story overall. Nothing too complex and crazy, but it does a good job of, you know, setting up the Order, setting up who Azrael is. And just a decent, simple story. I don't have too many problems with this at all. And it is a nice way to kind of start our little Knightfall journey of getting a little thing on Azrael, who, of course, is going to be very important later on. So that's going to do it for me, guys, here today. I give the Sword of Azrael miniseries, I can think like a 7 out of 10 is where I would put it. A nice 7 out of 10. It's a good little introduction to Azrael and the Order here. So let me know what you guys think about the Sword of Azrael in the comments down below. If you've read it, let me know. And yeah, guys, I'm excited to do this whole Knightfall journey with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, leading up to that first movie. So next time, we will be doing The Vengeance of Bane will be the next time. So it'll be a lot shorter, but, you know, it makes sense. I don't want to put too much into this. So The Vengeance of Bane will be the next part of this. So that's all for me, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.